Today we're updating to a major development in the ongoing conflict between Ukraine and Russia. The repeated targeting of the bridge linking the Russian mainland to the occupied Crimean Peninsula, a structure commonly called the Crimea Bridge or the Kerch Strait Bridge. What this bridge represents, why it keeps getting hit, and what's at stake. We'll cover all that and why at this stage Russia may be facing the impossible. The bridge spans the narrow Kerch Strait and carries both road and rail traffic between Russia and Crimea. Built by Russia after the 2014 annexation of Crimea, it is more than just a piece of infrastructure. It's a symbol of Moscow's control over the peninsula and a key logistical artery for military and civilian supplies. To understand why the strikes matter, we need to look back briefly at how the bridge came to be and how it evolved into such a high-value target. After Russia's annexation of Crimea in 2014, the Kremlin embarked on a massive construction effort to physically link the peninsula to mainland Russia. The bridge opened in stages, first for road traffic in 2018 and later for rail. It was built under heavy security and symbolic fanfare. From Russia's viewpoint, it was mission accomplished, a tangible sign that Crimea was now fully part of Russia. But from Ukraine's perspective, the bridge was an illegal structure built to sustain the occupation. The bridge thus took on dual significance, operationally, as a route for supplies and the movement of troops and equipment, and symbolically, as a representation of Russia's claim over Crimea. Many analysts said that the battle for the bridge is not only a strategic military objective for Ukraine, but also a potential personal blow to Vladimir Putin himself. The first major strike that captured the world's attention came in October 2022. An explosion on the road portion of the bridge heading toward Crimea caused two spans to collapse into the water and damaged the adjacent rail line. The impact was both physical and psychological. For Moscow, the impossible had happened. Analysts pointed out that even though the bridge was heavily defended, it had been successfully attacked. Since then, the bridge has been targeted several times, including another attack in 2023. Most recently, in mid-2025, the Security Service of Ukraine announced that it had placed and detonated underwater explosives under the bridge supports, causing severe damage to key pillars and putting the structure into what engineers described as an emergency state. Traffic was temporarily suspended, though Russia quickly moved to downplay the damage. Why does this keep happening? And what does it mean that Russia might be facing the impossible when it comes to defending this bridge? Ukraine views the bridge as a legitimate military target because it's used to send troops, weapons, and supplies into Crimea, and from there into southern Ukraine. Striking it degrades Russian logistics and undermines the symbolism of Moscow's control. Since 2022, Ukrainian commanders have described the bridge as target number one, once the right tools were available. The repeated attacks demonstrate Ukraine's capability and willingness to strike deep inside occupied territory. The 2025 operation followed other bold attacks, showing that Ukraine's strategy now includes direct disruption of Russian supply chains. From Russia's side, the dilemma is clear. Defending a structure this large and exposed is incredibly difficult. The bridge stretches nearly 19 kilometers across open water, vulnerable from the air, the surface, and underwater. Despite smokescreens, barriers, and naval patrols, complete protection is practically impossible. Every time Ukraine finds a new method of attack, sea drones, underwater mines, or missiles, Russia must adapt. Each adaptation costs time and resources, and no defense can guarantee safety. For Russia, the bridge is more than a supply route, it's a statement of ownership. Every time it's hit, that statement is challenged. When the first explosion occurred in 2022, it came just after Putin's birthday and right after major annexation declarations, giving it immense symbolic weight. Each new strike chips away at the narrative of invulnerability the Kremlin tries to project. The broader consequences are serious. Damage to the bridge disrupts Russia's supply routes into southern Ukraine and Crimea. Though alternate routes exist, they are longer and less efficient, forcing Russia to reroute traffic and spend more on repairs and security. Each disruption strains military logistics and morale. Meanwhile, for Ukraine, every successful strike boosts morale and serves as proof that Russia's grip on Crimea is not unbreakable. When we say Russia faces the impossible, we're talking about three overlapping realities: the immense size and exposure of the target, the high cost of defense compared to attack, and the cumulative strategic strain. Defending the bridge requires constant vigilance and massive resources, while attacking it requires only ingenuity, surprise, and persistence. Over time, the balance tilts in favor of the attacker. Even if Russia reinforces the bridge, the strikes prove that it can never be made fully safe. Its symbolic and practical vulnerability now defines it. It has turned from a monument of conquest into a reminder of risk. To truly secure it, Russia would need perfect surveillance, layered defenses, redundant systems, and total control of the surrounding area. All extremely costly and still never foolproof. For Ukraine, the ongoing attacks have strategic logic. Every explosion that halts or slows traffic across the bridge complicates Russian logistics and sends a political message. It also shows Ukraine's growing technological sophistication, especially in using maritime drones and precision underwater explosives. These attacks are designed not only to disrupt, but also to undermine Russia's image of control. In the short term, Russia will intensify efforts to harden the bridge, more patrols, underwater defenses, and surveillance. But these measures offer diminishing returns. Each layer of security can be circumvented by new Ukrainian tactics. The cost of protection continues to rise, while the cost of attack remains relatively low. Repairing and reinforcing the bridge consumes resources that Russia could otherwise use on the front lines. Construction teams, materials, and logistics all have to be diverted. Even temporary closures affect military planning. And while ferries and land routes through occupied territories can serve as backups, none can match the bridge's efficiency. For Ukraine, each strike delivers multiple payoffs. It demonstrates capability, undermines Russian morale, disrupts supply lines, and grabs global attention. It reminds the world that Crimea remains contested territory. From a broader perspective, the Crimean Bridge has become a case study in how modern warfare extends beyond the battlefield. It's not only about tanks or trenches, it's about supply routes, infrastructure, and symbols. Destroying or even damaging a key logistical artery can have effects far beyond the immediate physical damage. It shapes perception, weakens confidence, and forces the opponent to constantly respond. This conflict has shown that infrastructure can carry as much political meaning as military value. The bridge stands as a physical representation of Russia's claim over Crimea. Each time it's attacked, that claim is symbolically weakened. Each repair is not just a construction effort, but a political necessity. Defending a structure like this is fundamentally asymmetric. The attacker only needs to find one vulnerability, one overlooked weakness. The defender must anticipate every possible form of attack, from drones, missiles, underwater explosives, even sabotage. That imbalance is what makes the defense nearly impossible. The repeated strikes also send a message to the Russian public and international observers. They show that despite Russia's attempts to portray normalcy in Crimea, the region remains within reach of Ukrainian forces. The illusion of security is shattered each time smoke rises from the bridge. In the long term, the bridge's repeated damage erodes Russia's logistical stability and its image of permanence in Crimea. It forces constant repair cycles and forces Moscow to dedicate precious resources to maintaining something that is always under threat. For Ukraine, the strikes strengthen national morale. They reinforce the message that the occupation of Crimea is not irreversible and that even Russia's most secure symbols can be reached. Russia's leadership faces a tough choice: continue investing heavily in a vulnerable structure or accept that it can never be made completely safe. Either option carries political and strategic costs. In essence, the bridge has turned into both a military and psychological battlefield. Each explosion is not only a tactical victory for Ukraine, but a symbolic defeat for Russia's claim of stability and strength. The repeated strikes show that no matter how fortified, no structure is invincible when modern warfare combines intelligence, technology, and persistence. It also shows that Ukraine has mastered the art of asymmetric warfare, using limited resources to strike high-value, high-visibility targets. For Russia, maintaining control over Crimea now involves defending not only territory, but also the perception of control. The bridge, once a proud connection, now embodies constant vulnerability. As we move forward, all eyes will remain on this structure. Whether it stands or falls completely, its story will continue to mirror the broader trajectory of the war, one defined by persistence, adaptation, and symbolism. The Crimean Bridge strikes again, and with each strike, Russia's confidence in its ability to protect what it built erodes further. The impossible task for Russia isn't just defending the bridge, it's preserving the illusion that it can ever truly make Crimea untouchable. Thanks for staying through this analysis. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Russia can still protect the bridge, Or has Ukraine already turned it into a permanent weakness? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more deep dives into global events. Until next time, stay informed and stay curious.